Today, I want to share with you the questions that make people fall in love with talking to you. Have you ever been in that moment? You know the one. You're standing at a party, or maybe you're sitting across from someone on a first date, or even just grabbing coffee with a colleague you don't know very well. The air is filled with that heavy, suffocating silence. You take a sip of your drink just to have something to do with your hands, and then, out of sheer desperation, you ask the dreaded question. So, how's work going? And just like that, the light goes out of their eyes. They give you a rehearsed answer about being busy or tired, and the conversation dies a slow, painful death. We've all been there. We crave connection, yet we settle for transaction. We trade facts like baseball cards, name, job, hometown, hoping that somehow, if we stack enough facts together, they will turn into a feeling. But they never do. The truth is, most of us are bored. We are bored with the script. We are bored with reciting our resumes. But here is the secret that charming people know. The secret that can change the way you interact with the world. People are dying to be discovered. They are waiting for permission to take off the mask and show you who they really are. And the key to unlocking that isn't being the most interesting person in the room. It's being the most interested. Today, I want to talk about how to break that script. I want to share the specific questions that shift the conversation from black and white into technicolor. These are the questions that make people fall in love. Not necessarily romantically, though that happens too, but fall in love with the experience of talking to you. They fall in love with how they feel when they are around you. Let's start with the passion shift. Usually, we ask, "What do you do?" It's a status check. It's boring. Instead, try asking this. What is something you are working on right now that you are genuinely excited about? Do you hear the difference? The first question asks for a job title. The second question asks for an emotion. When you ask someone what excites them, you are inviting them to tap into their joy. You might find out that they don't care about their accounting job at all, but they are incredibly passionate about the garden they are planting in their backyard, or a novel they are trying to write on weekends. Suddenly, their posture changes. They lean in. You aren't talking to the employee anymore. You're talking to the human. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about the highlight reel. We often ask, "How was your week?" And we get the standard, "Good, fine." It's a reflex, not an answer. Instead, try this. What is the best thing that happened to you this month? Or, what was the highlight of your day so far? This forces the brain to scan for positivity. It stops the autopilot. I remember asking this to a stranger at a networking event once. He paused, looked up at the ceiling, and a slow smile spread across his face. He told me about his daughter scoring her first goal in soccer. For the next 10 minutes, he wasn't a CEO. He was a proud dad. The connection was instant. By asking for the highlight, you become associated with that positive memory. You become the person who reminded them that their life is good. Now, let's move into what I call the nostalgia key. Nostalgia is a powerful drug. It transports us back to a time when things were simpler. If you want to bypass the small talk and get straight to the soul, ask this. What is a vivid memory you have from growing up that really shaped who you are? This is a big question, so use it when the vibe is right. But watch what happens. People love to tell their origin stories. Maybe they tell you about cooking with their grandmother, or the time they got lost in the woods, or a teacher who believed in them. When they share that story, they are trusting you with a piece of their foundation. And because you are the one listening, you become part of that safe space. There is another category of questions that I absolutely love. It's the values category. These questions reveal what a person actually cares about without being political or confrontational. Try asking, if you had a free pass to do anything for a year, with money being no object, how would you spend your time? This isn't just a fantasy question. It's a values question. If they say they'd travel, they value adventure. If they say they'd build a house for their parents, they value family. If they say they'd just sleep, well, they probably value rest and are currently burnt out. It gives you a roadmap to their heart. And once they tell you, you can follow up. Why that? What draws you to that? Now you're in a real conversation. But perhaps the most powerful tool in your arsenal is the advice question. Human beings have an innate desire to feel useful and wise. We want to feel like our struggles taught us something. So, ask this. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self? This question is magic. It validates their experience. It tells them, I respect your wisdom. I think you have something to teach. It allows them to be vulnerable without feeling weak. They might tell you about a relationship they shouldn't have stayed in, or a risk they wish they had taken. It is profound, it is intimate, and it creates a bond that crazy weather we're having could never achieve. Now, a word of warning. You cannot ask these questions like you are a detective reading from a clipboard. You can't just fire them off one after another. That's an interrogation, not a conversation. The secret ingredient that makes these questions work is your presence. You have to actually listen to the answer. You have to look them in the eye. You have to put your phone away. When they speak, you have to wait for them to finish before you start planning what you're going to say next. You have to be comfortable with a little bit of silence while they think. When you ask a good question, people often look away for a second. They go inward. Don't interrupt that moment. That is the moment they are searching for the truth. Let them find it. And when they finish, don't just jump to your own story. Ask a follow-up. Tell me more about that. How did that make you feel? What happened next? These simple phrases are the fuel that keeps the fire burning. I want you to think about the people in your life who you love talking to the most. I guarantee you, it's not because they have the coolest stories. It's because when you are with them, you feel like the only person in the world. They make you feel interesting. They make you feel heard. That is what these questions do. They are gifts. When you ask someone, what is something you're proud of but rarely get to talk about? You are giving them a stage. You are shining a spotlight on a part of them that has been sitting in the dark. We live in a world that is increasingly lonely, despite being more connected than ever. We scroll through lives but rarely touch them. We see the highlights but miss the heartbeat. By changing the questions you ask, you are choosing to rebel against that superficiality. You are choosing to see people. So, the next time you feel that awkward silence creeping in, or the next time you catch yourself about to ask, so, what do you do? Stop. Take a breath. Be brave enough to ask something real. Ask them what they're excited about. Ask them who their hero is. Ask them what keeps them up at night, in a good way. Because here is the beautiful truth. Everyone is walking around with a fascinating story, just waiting for the right person to ask the right question to unlock it. You can be that person. You can be the one who makes them fall in love with the conversation simply by caring enough to ask.